Hello everybody, welcome back to the Refresh Point. My name is Ben, and as always, I'm joined by my constant co-host, Steve. Steve, how's it going?
Good. I've been playing an unreasonable amount of card games, and I'm back to talk about another one. So yeah, let's talk some Weiss.
Let's talk some Weiss. In another unsurprising twist, we lied. We are recording this the night of and before the spring conference, meaning our proper reactions won't be logged for another 2 weeks. Here's our quick reaction. Holy shit, I can't believe that got banned. My god, Bushiroad, they actually announced something that got me to spend money this year with a set announcement. It's crazy. Steve, what's your reaction to the incoming spring conference?
Wow, definitely not what I anticipated, but it turns out Bushiroad will do anything for money, so I guess that makes sense. There we go.
True. That conference really was something. Well, before we get real reactions to that, we're going to get to discussing some ambitious deck builds and the morals and repercussions of making a ban list. So, go ahead and shuffle your decks, tap or cut, and we'll get right into the refresh point with some breaking news. As just like a small funny thing, because there isn't that much news because, you know, we're recording this before the spring conference.
Right.
I made a post the other day just being like, hey, so I have one copy of the Sakari Secret. Can anybody in the world sell me another one? And it turned into like 4 or 5 posters being like, I mean, maybe?
Yeah.
I mean, copium? And so, on that search, we'll do a quick update. I did haggle somebody on eBay down, and there's potentially a seller in Mexico whose buddy went to the Mexico City Regional we're about to discuss, and has the card on him instead. And we might get that. And Gunnar Jorgensen publicly commented that if I found 2, that he would give his.
Well, he's a man of his word, so we're pretty much there is what I heard.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. By the time this releases, actually, either I'll have it or I won't, I guess. So, TBD. We definitely just did not mention that Licorice Recoil released whenever it did.
Yeah, that was definitely our bad. It was last week, and
I mean, it's a set.
Yeah, and
it exists.
It's a fine set. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very reasonable.
Yeah.
The problem is that reasonability is in low demand in the meta right now, and I don't know if it has what we need to actually like take control in the meta, but
yeah,
we'll talk about it. We can talk about the set in the Spike Corner, and we can discuss what we think the impact of that will be to the English meta, because there's a couple sets coming out in the future that we're gonna have to do that with, where we're gonna have to look at it and say, okay, but what does this do?
Do you do something? Really? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
like this set and Bocchi the Rock, if we're being honest, those 2 sets in particular are the 2 sets we need to look at and be like, is there something here?
You know, I guess it's kind of horrible timing because, you know, we're gonna have a ban list, maybe? Question mark?
Yeah.
So we're discussing this in the context of, you know, Slime exists.
Yeah, what we
Gura
know
exists.
Right. Yeah.
Overlord exists, and you know, if literally in 4 hours Bushiroad comes out and just kneecaps like all the tier 0s with a baseball bat, then, you know,
it's a different discussion.
It's
for
a
sure.
different discussion, and we're gonna farm that for content next 2 weeks. But yeah, also Fearin released in JP, which led to somebody commissioning us for an ambitious Fearin deck, which we'll cover, I suppose.
It's one of those things where we don't
We don't buy.
We don't do Japanese, y'all.
We don't really buy Japanese cards,
And
but
you
know.
But the thing is,
we got the Weiss sim. I have a printer. Like we can
definitely do it, but our knowledge of the Japanese meta is limited. So
like significantly worse.
Yeah, so
like,
take whatever we say about Freeren with the like a boulder of salt, like a grain of salt ain't gonna get you there.
Nah, you gotta get the whole salt. No, not the salt shaker. You gotta get the whole box.
Yeah,
that whole box of like kosher salt from Morton, whatever.
Yeah,
you need that.
Yeah, pretty much because we don't play that much JP here in DFW, but we'll do our best.
We'll do our level best. And we'll pop in. It's been a while, actually. Let's talk about some fan mail. We got a lot of comments. We get comments actually pretty much every single episode now, and we've been neglecting it pretty much all season. So we can talk a little bit.
For sure. Yeah.
So basically, I guess. I'm pretty sure you've already said your thanks to everybody that congratulated you on winning Worlds.
Yes. Thank you so much to everybody who commented anything even remotely kind about my Worlds participation, Ben's Worlds participation. Thank you so much. It does mean a lot, and it truly was one of the highlights of my card game playing career. So thank you.
Yeah, and few more comments. Shout out to WDF Juice. That was the Pachin player that I fought at Houston. It was apparently the quickest loss of your life, which I don't doubt. That was very fast. You ate the full shit. Apologies. You were in fact one of the 3 wins out of 9 rounds, and sometimes unlucky. I had to get a few in there.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just lose everything, right?
True. Shout outs to Space Cowboy, who's been fairly active in the comments recently. I'm pretty sure he's just the Houston Darkness player, because he pops off every time we mention Darkness, and he wants to force you to play Darkness at some point. But as we previously mentioned, if you'd like to commission an ambitious deck, that's a whole $5.
I don't think he's from Houston. He's from
Louisiana. He's from Louisiana. That's right.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
He just goes to Houston because that's the close one.
Correct.
Yes.
I can, if you want to commission it, man, I know somebody that's got the cards. So
we have the technology.
We can do it.
We can play it for you. It's possible.
I've had it played against me enough. I got a pretty decent grasp of how it works.
Yeah.
You're not the only person that plays Darkness. We got a local for that too.
Man. Shout out to Vegeta93021, who is just strictly one of our crazy supporters. Shout outs to you, John. You comment basically every time, and thank you very much for your support.
Yeah, apparently there's going to be no end to the fun in the ambitious deck building segments, so keep looking forward to that.
Shout outs to Infantry Strife, who shouted us out because he just wanted to play Springfest, and his team ended up getting 44th, but he was playing Pets Bar Guilty Gear, thanks to us, apparently. Back-to-back Chainsaw Man for 4 fucking rounds. Jeez. That's a killer. But he enjoyed himself, yeah. The record was 4-2.
Yeah.
Easy as you like.
That's how things get done, man.
Nice
Climaxes.
job.
Climaxes get stuff done.
Boom.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and from Atothai, to respond to you were apparently the Kai Mei player in BSF Toronto that got top 8. And apparently, you got whacked. So, props to you for playing it, and props to you for admitting your personal record live for everybody to see. Because in a quick response, he said, yes, the deck is very prone to crashing and burning quite badly. If one thing goes wrong, everything goes wrong. But when everything did go right, such an amazing feeling.
Yeah. I mean, we love the 40% of the time it works every time.
Yeah, it's a great
time. The pop-off is insane.
Yeah, apparently, because I was questioning how many times he could win coin flips, and he says, yes, I do win coin flips. It's very surprising when I do, and I was like, okay, fair enough. That's why you get value off of Zato and Giovanna, and, props to you.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and discussing the PR Testament, the one that gets soul.
Right.
He just flips it for soul a lot.
Yeah.
And it's funny to swing a 1-0 for 6 soul.
It's definitely one of those cards where it's like, okay, you know, it either does the thing or it doesn't do the thing, but in either case, we're gonna try really hard. So, yeah, that contributes to the coin flippiness of the deck. Is sometimes you just get it and your hand goes infinite.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so yeah, rip Anji, who doesn't really have really playable cards that much, but
That's
yeah. Shout outs to you.
I'm sure there's a card. Probably. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like a funny 1-0 that bounces to your hand when you cancel damage. It's the funny parry card.
Ew.
He's like a 6/5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, there's a spammable brainstorm. It rests to give like 1,000 or 1,500 or something.
Nice.
Yeah. He's just shaking his head over there. But shout out to you for playing a deck that you liked and then going horribly with it and then going to top 8. Not unlike one of the hosts on this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, if not Springfest, win. Honestly.
If not Springfest, win. And also finally, pretty sure it's Bromyos, Jon mentioning that you guys like the longer episodes, and Bromyos specifically mentioning that it'd be okay with 3-hour behemoths. And while we do enjoy talking about Weiss Schwarz, we also enjoy living a full and happy life with dinner eaten at a reasonable time.
And not making Ben take like full weeks to edit the audio.
Yeah. So, you know, as much as we would love to indulge you, we'll keep around our usual 1 to 1.5 hour pacing.
Yeah, I think that seems reasonable.
As we go. Look, if we go that much longer, all the restaurants are going to close. We get food after recording, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And if it's on a weekday, it's cursed.
Yeah. And so, finally, or sorry, not finally, but after all of that, we did get some commissions in. And so, we'll discuss some ambitious deck building.
Yeah.
We are more open than ever for you to force us to play something so you don't have to. We promise you can just give us decks. I believe one of our Ko-Fi supporters, I believe Carmen, was like, I'm good to support you. You guys got decks in the queue. I don't think you need another deck. We will take all of your decks all of the time. We'll pop it in the queue. Sorry, that's literally incorrect. We'll push it into the queue and we'll get around to it as soon as we can. No worries. We literally only have 2 right now. So after we do these 2, in like the next month and a half or so, we'll be out of commissions. So feel free to give us money. And if you already give us money every single month, you
might as well.
You might as well.
Yeah.
Just give us something to play. We'll chat about it. We'll talk about it. Ain't no thing. So, Bromyos, you commissioned us Guilty Gear, Pants, Standby, Bar. Steve, you have been on this assignment. How's it going?
Yeah, so I played at a local and then I played a half a dozen games with it in more casual ways. As I expected, because I experimented with some standby bar early on in the game. The problem with standby in a build like this is it feels like I derive very little value from it. I'll explain. A lot of times I will standby ram right before I'm about to be level 3, and then I hit level 3, and the only thing I really saved was 2 stock. What I will say is saving 2 stock often allows for more ambitious Testament plays, which matters, especially because as I play not just this deck, but Guilty Gear in general, I'm becoming more and more disenchanted with the Ram finisher. At this point, it can't be small sample size anymore. It's just that the finisher
really?
just doesn't kill. The finisher just doesn't kill.
Oh, you're so sure.
I'm not so sure, but what I will say is that it feels very bad.
Uh-huh.
And if my opponent is even when my opponent is at 3-0, I do not feel confident.
Uh-huh.
Because here's the thing. A lot of times I want to scry the top before I play Ram to make sure that Ram's going to work.
Right.
The only way I can pull that off is if the markers are already in the waiting room or in memory. And on top of that, I need 6 cards to execute Testament plus Ram.
Yeah.
So on top of that, I need a 7th card to scry with. Then the other problem is this. The packets are too big.
Really?
The packets are too big.
We don't like 3?
No.
Why not?
If that's
such a nice number.
If that marker guy was just not 3 souls, I would feel like I would win more.
Really?
He just overhits all the time.
I mean, yeah, true, because you can trigger for 4.
Yeah,
a lot.
that's the problem. Is that especially when we add we're playing pants and we're playing standby, and so the deck is kind of leaning top heavy anyway, and now we have 6 climax triggers that are all triggers. It feels like I'm never killing them to 3-7. I'm killing them to like 3-9 because it's just hitting for too big. And so like if they're 3-0 and I burn for 1 and I hit and it's for like 3 or 4 or whatever, it just feels like they can eat one of them and then just block me down. And I get blocked down so frequently with that deck. To the point now where I don't want to play Ram anymore. I understand that it's cheap and I understand it produces 6 packets, but I don't like it anymore. I don't know how else to phrase it. Like
it's a personal thing.
I watched 2 games get ripped away from me back to back purely because Ram does too much damage.
And some might call it a skill issue. Those other players that are jamming Ram down everybody's throat, but
yeah, that's the thing is that Hendrickson and other Burn 4 and Burn 3 characters suffer from this problem. But the difference is that when you're dealing big packets with other builds, you have decomp.
Sure. Right.
Guilty Gear doesn't have decomp.
Yeah, you got Fumio.
Yeah, which is
does that count?
Decomp rarely, right?
Yeah.
And also 2 more stock. And also 2 more hand.
Yeah.
So can you Fumio and Testament and Ram? No. It's too many cards. So you have to pick your poison about some of this stuff. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm softening on Ram. For the first 6 months that this set was out, I was convinced this is the only good finisher.
Uh-huh.
But my opinion is changing because I keep watching games slip away that I feel would be winnable with many other finishers in the set.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I hate on May to some degree, I don't think I've lost a game where double May hits the field and the opponent is level 3.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that I don't mind losing if I'm far away, like I'm reaching for it, and I just lose because I don't have enough reach. It's an unreasonable ask.
Yeah.
But if they're 3, I want them to lose.
Or there was a scenario where I literally got the full setup and they just super god blocked at 3-2, and I was like, all right, whatever.
A thing that can always happen, but rarely does.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but in any case, now where are you at?
Yeah,
you're not playing Ram.
No, I'm gonna leave Ram for now because it would dramatically change the direction of the deck otherwise. I mentioned last podcast that I didn't think that 4 Testament would be the right number. It's kind of worked out because Guilty Gear is sort of lacking in beaters. And so just putting that thing down and reversing a guy has kind of worked out. It's not.
I mean, a 3-5 is a 3-5.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's not anything to laugh at. It's big enough.
Yeah.
So I definitely want better standby targets. And what I mean by that is there's a 2-1 Ramlethal support that is not in this build. That is probably the best standby target the whole deck has.
Oh yeah, it's sick.
It can force Kai into better trades or profitable trades, and it is a way to dump excess stock to really put the thumbscrews to your opponent in specific setups.
And it heals.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is that like you can heal down like twice in a turn for 4 stock if the game's like in that state, and your opponent just feels hopeless at that point. So I definitely want to slot that in somewhere. Not sure where yet. And I want to make some small tweaks to the 0 game to maybe facilitate some better deck speed. It feels like right now I don't have a good way to put cards into the waiting room to standby, and even when I do, they all cost stock. So maybe more of the helmet, maybe more of the Biken, or both. But yeah, I like. I think I'm okay with the majority of what's going on here for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to bring up. I just want to say. I mean, the commission says 4 pants, 2 standby, 2 bar. And he didn't specify which bar.
I think that
and there's
I think the Ramlethal is
there's another.
Yeah.
There is another.
I haven't
if you just want to drop the regular, neutral footsies based gameplay that Ramlethal is, and just pick up a grappler.
I'm gonna experiment with that build on my own in my own setup, but I don't hate that card. I just wonder if there's not another way to explore this. I don't know exactly how yet, but I do know that Testament Ram feels underwhelming. Okay. So we'll see.
Yeah.
More to come.
Just on a final note about that in general, I was able to play like the standby shot bar, Jacko Gold Lewis Potemkin thing for good enough amount of games, and man, it's pretty easy to make the 4 stick lethal whenever you've got 3 soul guys just 2-0 onwards, slamming
hammers.
it down.
Yeah, just hammers.
Just going. Yeah. It's kind of like a dick idea that you're like, does that work? Does it just work like that? Yes. Apparently, yes.
Yeah.
You even get like an on beginning climax phase grappling hook that you can proc for the cost of pay 1, ditch 1. Yeah.
The other card that I was thinking about for standby based builds is Axel. All of his power comes from on attack.
On attack, yeah.
So he makes a pretty decent companion, especially if you're trying to land hammers, because his on reverse top deck can lead into Gold Lewis's hammers pretty readily. So I think that we could definitely stand for some better standby targets. There's nothing wrong with Biken. Biken's great. But we might need some flexibility in what we're standbying in the mid game, just so that we can keep things on track.
For sure. And then, from our boy in California, Dark, coming in hot with an ambitious deck for Freerin. And I'm gonna read this out. All right, Benethy, this is for you. I want the most fun Freerin deck you can cook up. All I ask is that it is as crazy and insane as possible. Also, I want it specifically to beat my dad, British Steve, which is how he's referred to Steve Wall.
Nice.
I want the highest win rate against him because I don't want to go back to the Weiss dungeon for 6 hours again.
All right.
So,
have you looked at Freerin at all?
I read the entire set back to front multiple times. So, I literally started on this the second I got it.
Are we playing events?
The funny part?
Yeah.
2. Or no, 4.
4. Okay.
We get 4 events because the craziest and silliest deck that I want to try right now is gonna be the choice deck. The deck where one of the 1 combos, for some godforsaken fucking reason, has a soul trigger, works from the back row, and says when you play the choice, 3 other cards get soul trigger or choice trigger on them.
Yeah.
The healer.
Yeah.
A 1/0 that's just on attack, discard, check 4 at a character. which is not unreasonable as a card. And the fucking Dow Zero that's on attack, pay 1, ditch 2, search 2. So these are like not unreasonable cards
to run 4 of.
To run 4 of in the deck.
Well, what I'll say is that you might be onto something. I noticed this because I was trolling Twitter, but the god himself, Rintaro, has returned to Twitter.
Yeah.
And
he had a free run list. It's a different choice. This one's a good choice. No, his deck's like an actual good deck. So okay. So the one combo is so, like, the interactions are so gas. The one combo is like a check 4, add 1 on choice. Though the statues card, the character that can attack, it's a pay 1, go to memory to salvage the finisher or the Himmel 1 combo.
Sick. Pay 1, salvage something important?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And it sends like the, or no, I don't think it, yeah, I think it goes to memory and it sends like the 1/1 event to memory. The 1/1 event, by the way, pay 1, search a yellow climax.
Nice. I think we've had that event before. I'm
we have.
Like Chorus has that event.
Yeah. It has it for doors, I think, or red climax.
Yeah, red.
But what I will say is that for our crazy and insane list, that means we're going to run both the Himmel combo and the Spearman combo because they both have soul triggers on them!
Nice. I'm glad to see that we've learned nothing.
They both have soul triggers on them. Himmel has a soul trigger. The Freeran that gives all these other random choice trigger has a soul trigger on it. And we have 4 of this card that says, hey, go grab a yellow climax. So fuck it. I'm not worried. We'll just find it. All good. No worries.
Yeah.
And then our finisher is Icy Tail for burn 2s for climaxes. I think it's Icy Tail 4. Icy Tail 4, but if you have the statue in the memory, he costs 1 less, and then you can pay 1 to play the 3/2 from your hand and check their bottom 2, and then I don't see climaxes. We'll just get rid of those.
So we just learned nothing.
Not a single thing.
Great.
We got a guaranteed burn 2 like most of the time on this thing for sure, and very easy triple. I'm sure it's got to be like easy as you like. In like Rintaro's list, that has to be like one of those consistent setups ever. He just runs 4 of that fucking statue, 4 of the climax searcher, you know, the actual good brainstorm. That's like because I'm running for your cook Dark. I'm running like the fucking trial deck brainstorm that gives some cards double trigger, so that when we jam this choice like combo giving card, we're gonna just try and double trigger our way into just advantage for no particular reason whatsoever.
This feels unhinged.
Correct. As crazy and insane as possible.
Why didn't you play the book deck?
Because that's not crazy. That's a reasonable deck.
No, what you just described sounds like the reasonable deck.
What? No.
If we're not playing 15 events, are we really playing Unhinged Weiss?
True. Yeah, what is it? The book deck's kind of sick though. Like the one combo, no, because like you're not playing like just like 6 million events. You're gonna run like
flying.
Do you run Torch?
I mean, do you not?
You can't add it to your hand. This isn't the combo that grabs Torch.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the set.
Okay. So this is 8 book, right? Okay. So the finisher is, I think it's like hexproof marine.
Okay.
At home, it's like just hexproof, like burn 2. You know what? Here. Let's do the smart thing. We're gonna go to Weiss tea time, and we're gonna make sure we know what the cards say and read some cards, unlike most TCG players, but it's okay. And then we're gonna go take a look. So the book 1 combo is 2/6, just straight up 2/6, 6k during your turn if you have 2 or more other characters. The interesting things that we get here is there is a card that has on attack on attack, all of your characters gain on trigger climax, pay 1, stock 1, and then draw up to 1, discard 1.
That's insane.
Yeah. We have this 1-0 fern that says during your main or attack phase, when you draw a card, choose somebody to gain 1k. It's like it's a 1/5, so it's like an assist.
A whack one.
Yeah. But at the start of your encore step, if you have a book climax and you don't have another copy, you can draw a card. So if we just keep slamming books, we can draw another card at the end of every single turn.
I mean, it's just free real estate.
Yeah, it just works. Smile. The Brainstorm, which is a mill 5 for books, and can also just rest to draw discard if you have 3 or more other characters.
Woo!
Also gets the Magic to Create a Flower Garden event, which I believe is the stock swap. Sure is, or stock shuffle.
Yeah.
So your Brainstormer can salvage your stock shuffle event.
Yeah, which is kind of huge because the timing will never not work. But I think we've discussed stock shuffle on here in the past, but stock shuffle is one of those mechanics that it will.
You kind of gotta try to send it because
it will always work out. It just will never. Your opponent will never explode like they do with stock swap.
Yeah. Okay, and here's the book finisher. Yeah, it's pay 1, ditch 1, burn 2. During this card's battle, your opponent cannot play events or backups from hand.
Okay, so we got
And it
Marine,
heals.
but we're fully resistant to counterplay.
Correct. And it heals.
Yeah.
Not for nothing.
Sounds, yeah, probably, I mean, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah. It's 8 book is a very reasonable deck.
Yeah,
That's it.
Again, though, yeah.
Reasonability is not super in vogue, but it is a very reasonable deck. And you could play the Torch anyway, because you're going to play 8 book and you're going to draw like 6 million cards, and maybe you'll just draw into them all the time.
I mean, you will. Like, this deck sounds like it just loots all day.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right, well.
This is a reasonable deck. Not the crazy one.
Yeah,
but
it sounds like we have a good grip on how we're going to approach our unhinged deck build.
Yeah. Also, a final note on ambitious decks today. So, the other day on Twitter, Prince made a post about some results, and there was a player that like packed out and built a Standby Pants Review Starlight deck that plays like the set 1 Maya Claudine finisher, and use like the movie set 2/1 assist to early play it for 3 stock. And then you can pay 1 on that original like Maya finisher to get out the Claudine and like have a board and heal at 1 for fun if you blocked and la-di-da. Man, this guy feels like the luckiest man alive. I can never draw shit with this deck. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was a particularly difficult set of games when I watched it being played.
Yeah. No, I played it again too on like another day, and I just can't stop bricking. I was just like, dude, how? There's no Rickies in this deck. There's like some hand fixes, but they're like very odd. Like there's a 0 that discards one of the finishers to check 5 and it gains 1k, which good card. There's only 2 of it. There's 1 of the 1/0 that discards to check top and salvage level X,
right.
Which man, you're so good at this game, clearly. Like every time I see that card go to clock or somewhere, I just die on the inside. I'm like, I could be running more of this card. Why don't I? This would be a really nice hand fix right now.
Yeah. Yeah, some people are just built different.
But I mean, hey, like he said it was consistent for him, which, you know, props to ya. But if I ever can build this again, I would play a Ricky. I like having the 1 combo guaranteed in my hands. It feels pretty good. Yeah. I guess technically you don't need it. You just need to stand by the 2/1. But having hand feels pretty good. Like having a guaranteed way to get the 3/2 that you're about to play from hand with the 2/1 feels pretty good. Feels pretty sick. I don't know, man. I just felt like Pain City every time I picked it up. I'm just like staring down a hand of bricks and all of my fixes go into the clock or the waiting room, or they're still in the deck where I clock and I draw 2 more bricks. I'm like, well, cool. Nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like you need a lot to go right in order to get like the whirlwind slam on your opponent.
Yeah, because like what you want, right, is stand by the 2-1 at 1, block to stay at 1, get the whirlwind slam of like pay 4, get 2 3s out, heal down, go fuck yourself, and you know.
Yeah, exactly. And whenever it doesn't happen, it feels like the rest of the deck, like
so many times I'm just like because there's only 2 of the assists in the deck.
Yeah.
So many times I'll be like 70% of the way through the deck, the 2-1's still not in the waiting room, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, well, I don't know, man. Like, I guess I got nothing.
Yeah,
my bad.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know.
Maybe it's just a different side of the luck spectrum. I always seem to find the Shuna every time I play Standby Slime. But actually, no, because with Standby Slime, even if I don't have Shuna, I just stand by Muron and call it a day, at least. And then, like, with this deck, it's like, did I not get the 2-1 assist? Wow. Death to me.
Yeah,
I'm dead.
It's tough.
But, he got it pretty consistent, apparently, which, with this list, props to you. It's truly a skill issue. Obviously I'm just worse. I'm not sure how to play out of like the full bricks that I see like half the time, but I mean what
yeah,
a banger.
Yeah, it could be a variety of things. Like play patterns are very different for different builds, so who knows.
But now we arrive once again to our favorite place. Honestly.
Yes.
The Spike Corner.
Absolutely. And we've got some events to analyze.
We've got some real fucking bangers, is what Steve is meaning.
Yeah. Springfest delivers, man. Every single year I look at the results and I'm like, yeah, these all make sense. What the f is that?
Congratulations to all of the winners from Barcelona, Mexico City, and there was another one. Melbourne. There we go. I scrolled past it by accident. But congratulations to all of you. Shout out to Darcy, who I recognized in like the winners photos that they posted, but it was fully like 3 or 4 a.m. and I was like, I don't know if that's actually him. I'll just check again later and congratulate him for winning. So there's actually a lot to talk about that we just haven't yet because we recorded basically right before that event started. Special shout out to all 3 top CSM lists in Melbourne not running Kashibe, and throwing Steve into full I mean, I guess.
I've continued to fail to understand why you would want to run the deck at all in that state, but I mean, it's clearly working because of the overspec nature of Aki with 4 events.
Yeah, and also like the deck has just insane resource generation / deck speed in general.
Yeah, I mean, like the issue isn't on your end. Like
never.
That's the thing, is that you don't play Kashibe for you. Like, you play Kashibe for them. Because it's my opinion that Chainsaw Man, in general, doesn't have any problems. And so,
correct.
In the absence of needing to solve any problem, I want to fucking cause some problems. And so, what I want to do is cause some problems for you. Where now you have a thing that you need to deal with, and I don't really have to do anything. Except just watch you try.
Yeah.
And laugh.
What I will say is, to be fair to Darcy and the rest of the Australian gang, I think they ended up kind of agreeing that it's kind of like both will work, obviously, but like it's just kind of up to you.
That's the thing, right? Yeah. Is that there's no like
there's not really a super wrong egregiously wrong answer.
No.
It's just that Kashibe will cause problems. And so,
It's one of those things where you can either decide that it's worth it for your sculpt or not. What I will say is if you're not playing Kashibe, I'm not sure what you do during your turn. Like I really don't know. Like
I mean you just slam like
Like,
two
yeah.
shitters, like a power that gives stock, and you call it a day. I mean, you run like the Himeno at 1-0, and there's generally like one.
And there's
Weaver
like almost
Stargat.
none of those too.
There's like two.
That's like the worst part, is that I don't know what the you're attacking with. I
It's
guess
just
it's
zeros.
Yeah,
Every
I just
time.
no, yeah. See,
Yeah.
I
and then when you hit level 2, it's early play healers.
no, I'm not behind that at all.
Yeah.
It's because you give away so many resources. Like, that feels unreasonable.
I mean, yeah, but you just scam them at the end of the game, so who cares?
Right, exactly. I mean, why would you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the CSM deck that got 4th in Australia was running Kishibe. So,
True. That's why it was worse.
Yeah.
It got 4th.
Clearly.
Shout outs to the Kai Goldlewis Rabathol player in Oz as well.
That's the deck we've been talking about.
That's what we've been talking about, baby.
It's built just like we were talking about it.
Is it? I mean, I just saw the names. I was like, yep, cool.
Like, this
Makes
is
sense.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the build that we were discussing.
This is it.
The only difference is that it's
We have
running
Adachi's for some reason. Or no, it's
running some Happy Chaoses, which is a pay 2 send a memory to choose a cost 1 or lower character in your opponent's backstage and kill it.
It's highly funny to slime, actually.
Super funny for Overlord too, if
and
they
also
don't see it
super
coming.
funny for Overlord. Yeah.
Yeah. So a fine card, we don't hate it. There's a number of characters that are kind of pissed off by that card. The rest of it looks pretty much like you'd expect. We're running the they're running
One bar is highly funny to me, but you know, I guess we do want to do Gold Lewis a lot. So, and
yeah,
we can get the bar.
One bar is super ambitious with one climax swapper, I'll say. But
I mean, you know, there's 4 pants.
That's
and it is a bar. So, I mean, if we just trigger it.
That's a bit of a lunatic strategy.
I mean, you just trigger it, Steve. You'll get it in your head easy.
But we do have the events, one of each event, which we've seen that out of a few Guilty Gear builds, and I guess people like that. I don't, but
I mean, you know, whenever things are going wrong,
my issue
paying
is,
for a restand is not nothing.
No, I know, but my issue is that we have 0 ways to grip this thing. 0.
No.
Like, biking, I guess, is not the only way.
It just needs to go into level.
Yeah, but
why would you want to play it? That's another stock.
From where, though? Like, it's gotta go into level from where?
Yeah, with our one of Milia.
Yeah.
And then we take damage, and it'll pop up there eventually, and we'll just level it.
I guess.
Easy as you like.
Sure. We're just lucky as fuck, I guess.
Always, Steve.
We do get our first Lycoris result.
Oh yeah, nice. Pants door.
This is the Pants door
the standard build.
Yes, this will be the most common build for this set, in my opinion. So we have Pants door, which is Pants level 1, door level 3. We have
Dude, I fucking wish I had this Pants combo. This Pants combo is sick. Fucking 2 SIGs and then check top 2 rearrange.
Yeah, it's like sort of like Spy, but different.
Is it?
Yeah, it's instead of, you know, check 3, add 1, and then check, it's, you know, and then put the cards back. You milled the top 2, and then you check the cards and put them back. So it's
I mean, you'll never trigger dirty again. That's what I'll say.
Similar in nature to that, where it's like not super high deck speed, but also it doesn't matter because you'll never trigger if you don't want to.
Yeah.
So really cool combo. Really good combo. We see that we have the level 3 marker combo. So it's a paired level 3 combo. One of them puts the other one under it as a marker, and during the combo, when it attacks, it burns 1, and then...
No, I think it gives, like, others. But yeah, all of your other characters gain on attack. Mill the top of your opponent's deck. If it's a level 0 or lower, burn 1.
Yeah. So it's a conditional burn 1 based on your opponent's deck.
Yeah, and it gives that effect to the 2 restanders, which you'll presumably have on the board.
Right, and so your 2 restanders are just Garden Variety, pay 3, pitch 1, end of attack to restand.
Pay 3.
It's really 2 because it's end of attack.
I guess. I mean,
so
still though.
It's not that expensive, honestly.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
because
because
the way the time.
Yeah,
because
the way the restand
it's
works.
like Kai, where it's like you're gonna time it out in a way where like the restand.
And with Aria Ferretta too. It's kind of like a
it
fake.
Seems like it's
like a fake pay 3 of a sort.
It seems like it's gonna cost a lot, but it never does. And so,
still though, you also have to play this other girl. Okay, I guess they don't. Yeah, I guess they don't. Neither of the blue effect doesn't cost, so it's like what? Swing with the blue one first, and then swing. You need 2 more, and then swing, and then swing. You need 1 more, so it's like.
Oh, you also get a salvage off of the 3/2.
Yeah. It's probably like 7 stock play.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right.
Like a 7-8 stock play of sorts. It's not the worst, yeah, for sure. It's perfectly doable. But
yeah, you kind of need some things to go right, because you're milling from the top of your opponent's deck. You want to try and hit some climaxes. They do have Fumio at level 2, very similar to the Guilty Gear one.
They also have a stock shuffle.
Yeah, they have stock shuffle.
It's on a character, a 3/2 yellow card.
Yeah, that card is a variety of effects, which is all kind of nice.
Yeah.
It also has bounce, which if you don't need the stock shuffle, and you might need the bounce. If you don't need either, you just don't play it.
Yeah.
They have climax salvaging with their other level 3, so that creates high assurance. They have they've got it's a very decent deck. Like I have nothing against this deck at all. It's not running the funny brainstorm, which I kind of am sad about.
Yeah.
That card makes me laugh every time I see it.
Is it the
one where anytime you trigger a door, you mill 4 from the top of your opponent's deck? It's actually troll as fuck.
It's fucking funny.
It's like it'll lose you as many games as it wins you, but it's one of those things where I'm just like, I mean.
Nah, I had one of our locals was playing Licorice when it came with JP, and at one point he was swinging with he had 3 brainstormers on the board because he was just swinging with one. He'd like trigger a door. I milled 12. I'm like. Yep,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually super annoying when dealing with compression. You're just like, okay, well, I was compressed anyway.
Yeah. In Barcelona, Spy has its day. Pants Choice and 8 Pants. They're actually in the same seat, so Pants Choice specifically beat 8 Pants to win Barcelona. Or at least that team did. We don't know who won.
Yeah, but I mean, but if we know classically that Lloyd has a very soft spot for his adopted daughter, so that loss makes sense canonically.
Canonically, right? It all scans. What is it? There's.
So we have also our first. I think this is our first team that has Guilty Gear in first place.
True. Jacko, Biken, Ram.
So we have standby. We have
just
standby
like the
Ram.
Pure standby bar setup.
Yeah. So this is running 4 of the Jacko, 1 Biken, climax, and
pretty standard.
We've got Axel and Ramlethal, which I mentioned earlier, are 2 of my more preferred
standby targets. We have the pay 2 event that says I can't be reversed,
which is super cool in decks like this because if you if you get Axel and then you can prevent him from getting reversed, he can generate so much value. The other thing is that there's some on reverse finishers kicking around, courtesy of some avatar. And when you pay 2 to just crap on them, they're not going to be happy.
Is it okay? Does the Azula? I'm gonna pull up an Azula deck. Does it say specifically backup or does it say backup?
I'm pretty sure it's
events?
backup and event, but the card chooses 2 characters.
That's true.
So.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. You cannot play event or backup, but it does choose 2 characters. So you have to really construct a board as Avatar that's like, yeah.
So there's no way to get triple Azula.
Yeah.
And if you attack in the wrong order, you won't get double Azula, which a lot of times they will attack in the wrong order because they want to get Sokka procced off.
Yeah.
So they'll attack with Sokka first to make sure that if they stand by, they can step on him.
Yeah.
So if you do that, then you can walk right into that thing.
Oh, yeah.
So that's rough. But, but yeah, I like it. I like it. I like the event. The rest of the deck, super reasonable. Nothing we haven't talked about before.
Yep. Let's see. Oh yeah, let's do a CSM count. Fuck it. Let's see.
A lot of them.
3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in Melbourne. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in Barcelona. And 16 teams too. Like that shit just fucking flooded that regional.
Yeah.
And Mexico City, we don't have every single result, but there are still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reported CSMs out of these 7 reported teams. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're also seeing a ton of Caligura, like a ton of it. So,
But no, Steve, Standby Gura was the way to play Gura. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. What do you mean? Why would you just play it vanilla?
I'm not saying that all these people are bandwagoners, but I'm not saying it.
Yeah, I think I was chatting with Riaz the other day because he was the one who gave us the deck idea.
Yeah.
Even. So
he built the original version of it.
Yeah, he did. And so he was like, yeah, people were like, yeah, just Standby Gura is clearly the better one. It just works. And it's like,
it does.
I mean,
until it doesn't.
I guess.
So one other deck that I want to talk about a little bit that showed up in Mexico. We have a ton of funny, or not funny, but like amusing results that are coming out of Mexico City. There's a Ruby deck here.
Yeah. There's Rizaya.
Yeah, Fruit of Grisaya Wind Choice, by the way. Not like the normal deck that comes from this set, which is Pants Door.
Right.
This deck, just very briefly, the finisher is on choice, pay 1, and I'm sorry, on choice, pay 1, and what it does is you pick one of your characters, and this character gains following ability. Whenever its damage is canceled,
Yes.
you deal it again.
Yeah.
So they're running that plus Musashi.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the strat is just proc it on the Musashi and try to just like decapitate them, I guess.
Yeah, just take the damage. Smile.
Yeah.
It's up to 1 time per turn, so.
Yeah, right. You can't, no double procking. We're not allowing that.
And like, and the silly thing is if the Musashi, the Musashi cancels, and then that stick goes through, and then the Musashi on cancel goes through. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We're trying to pile them with like cancels or whatever. So we have feeding, and we have the feeding combo, we'll say. The one combo that this deck is running is 104k that gets 1,000 for every feeding in memory, and then on attack, it's salvage X or lower X the number of cards in memory.
Yeah.
I don't think they have any other memory outside of feeding, so basically it's however many feedings you can grip and jam into the memory. That's what we want to do.
Yep.
So super not common build. Probably caught a lot of people off guard who have never even seen Grisaya at all.
No,
much less...
I guarantee you for a fucking fact, this guy ran into somebody and triggered wind. And somebody was like, wind, huh? Fuck.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, there was at least one game somewhere where some guys playing like, oh man, like slime randomly, and we're like, what is it? Like a standby deck, or just something. And he's like, trigger wind, and they're like, trigger wind, and they're like, yeah, that trigger.
It's also worth, as a final note, it's also worth kind of mentioning, one of the Chainsaw Man decks that got top 4 in Mexico City was playing 8 bar.
Yeah, Samurai Man.
So if anybody wants a preview of what the adaptation will be when inevitably the restrict comes down on this set, this is the adaptation.
You think Samurai? Really?
I love Samurai.
Let me read. I haven't even read Samurai.
So
that's fair.
So what the Samurai?
Oh, he's early play.
Yeah,
we can play this guy. Oh,
he's
okay.
early play, and he's 11,000 power. If your opponent has a full board.
Oh.
And so you ditch the climax on reverse.
Okay.
And you check 3 and add 3, as long as they're characters.
Yeah, we love
and
getting
then
characters.
Through your opponent's turn, you get 2,000 power and hand on court.
Oh.
So
and he's on a bar.
So ain't no way you're getting rid of this guy, and you just get to draw 3.
Okay.
So it feels very similar to the combo they're running now in play pattern, where you're basically like, okay, we're gonna just draw 3 cards.
Dude, our Time Devil stocks go way up. Like, we're just discarding to heal all the time. Although this guy's not even playing Future Devil. He's just playing the 206 vanilla, just so that we can heal all the time.
Yeah, and not for nothing, but 2K to the front is a real thing for the level 3s.
Yeah, for the level 3 healer, for sure. This guy's just healing all the time.
Yeah, with 8 bar, it kind of just works.
Yeah. This guy's gaming.
Yeah, some of these other choices I'm not crazy about, but they do have a number of little tools to facilitate like putting a board together for the Samurai Man. Because of course he early plays by having a full field.
Yeah, and you'll just still be rich all the time because we still have the power that sacks people to put them into your stock and
and
all sorts of stuff. Yeah,
so we've still got Easy Revenge. Like the core of the deck is very similar. We just instead we're running more of the green Brainstorm and.
Oh my God! I didn't even realize there was a 1-0 climax swapper.
There is. I don't.
They have like 5 of them.
I don't know why you'd run it over the green one. The green one, I guess, in the sense that you want.
You don't want to.
We need a full field.
We
right?
need a full field. We can't sack the field. I guess we want green all the time. We don't want any more blue because there's a 0/0 blue Aki that's pay 1, ditch 1. Climax salvage from waiting room. It's this card, but blue and a level 0.
There's also the yellow one that swaps from the deck.
He's playing that one though.
Yeah. So we have a million climax swappers available to us
in case we didn't
have enough of them.
Yeah. We've chosen 2 of the. Wait, how many are there then? So there's the blue one.
The green
there's
one.
the green one.
The other
there's
green
the level
one.
1 green one.
And
there's
the
yellow one.
That's 4.
That's 4. Is there another one? Am I missing one?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But that's a lot.
We just have 4 to pick from. We can play 16 climax swappers if we needed. One of them's a level 1, just a random 6/5 beater if we need it to be. Okay. All right. Let's beat this guy to death with hammers. Anyway.
So yeah, I think this is a decent adaptation. This cuts
Quick
out
little Northern Lion reference out there. All right.
This cuts out the parts that got restricted in Japan, except for it's got 4 Aki clearly. So I think this is a totally reasonable build. Not crazy about this 1-0 Sawatari that he's running. I'm not sure what it does. That I guess it translates a high level card into a low level card so that you can fill the board.
I mean, yeah, it just fills the board, right?
I guess
it can get you a Brainstormer. It can get you the power. Power is not an unreasonable 0 to want to spawn to the board.
I guess I just maybe I don't know. Feels slightly overvalued, but you do need to reverse with Samurai Man, so you need to make sure that the board supports you were getting a reverse.
I mean, but we're playing Chainsaw Man zeros. We're gonna have reverse targets.
Yeah, of course. Their zeros all suck. They're running 3 of the Kashibe that ditches climax to salvage, so presumably because you're gonna have a million climaxes in your hand.
I mean, it also lets you scry. Or no, it just mills 3.
It mills 3,
yeah,
and it's 8 bar, so of course it's gonna happen. But maybe a touch too many of those. I would rather see more of the Kobeni than more random zeros at higher counts, because Kobeni becomes all those cards. It's just one of those things that Ditch to Salvage X does. If you have utility zeros, you can just have all of them.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's pretty much what we were mainly gonna cover. And finally today we're going to Finally today we're going to farm some content in the Spike Corner. There was a tweet that sent both Zabuton and I down a very long thread writing chain on both different tangents, but what is it? Brown and Weiss on Twitter had a rant about Banlists, and he specifically, to shorten the argument, you can go check out the tweet for yourself. To shorten the argument, the main crux of the argument is that they're just gonna print more broken stuff all the time, so just let sleeping dogs lie, have everything unbanned, fuck it, and just let them keep going.
Right.
So just stop crying for bans.
Just let it go.
Just let it go.
And just let it all
get
ride.
a new broken set to compete with the old broken deck.
Right.
And we just get more broken sets, and then all of the broken sets fight each other.
Right. So let's talk about this for a little bit, because this is an argument that can be made. Because particularly in Weiss, we're never, unless Bushiroad is way smarter than I am, which is possible, I don't see a very good way to reset the power curve in a meaningful way. So without enraging most of your fan base.
Right.
Like, they can't just be like, all right, we're gonna stop, we're gonna make Weiss 2 or Weiss Premium or whatever, and none of these cards are legal.
Yeah.
Like
the nature of Weiss is the main competitive format, New Standard, means everything's legal.
Right. And not just that, but if you don't have any rotation over time, you're gonna have power creep. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you do it. We have to keep printing better cards to incentivize the game to evolve in different useful ways. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the inevitability that Brown Weiss is referring to is a real thing. You're going to reach an inevitability point in the game where, and some would argue that we might be getting close already, where the game has become crept so much that it is difficult to continue without spiraling into exactly what he's talking about, where it's like you restrict a thing, then you print a thing, then you restrict a thing, then you print a thing, then you restrict a thing, and you're just constantly restricting all the time.
Yeah. And so on that, I will say that not for nothing that most of the sets this year, this was the tangent that I was going on. You can technically read my tweets, but also you can just listen to my voice. All of the sets this year at GP afterwards have been kind of reasonable.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Like,
is that if we have to accept the idea that Bushiroad's going to experiment with mechanics over time, they're going to try and push in certain directions to try and keep the game new, keep the game fresh, keep the game evolved. Like, you have to keep experimenting with new mechanics. Otherwise, if you keep printing the same mechanics over and over again, you're just going to dull the player base's anticipation for new sets.
Yeah, the new sets can't have nothing.
Right. Everybody is anxious for their thing.
Yeah.
They want to know what their set does that is either unique to their set completely, no other set does it, or highly flavorful thing that very few sets do.
I actually do like Fearin a good amount for this kind of thing, because it does a lot of very cool, flavorful stuff that some of the mechanics are similar to other ones, like the choice, like trigger game that we mentioned earlier. And like there's just like the event stack, and there's the choice stack that lets you like wait, it's actually so flavorful. You build up the statues so that your Himmel is empowered because he's so vain, so there's more statues of him.
Correct. But people love that stuff. Like the, and
it's not like it, we were mentioning that, like, it's like an icy tail that like scries again, but it's not like,
it's not unhinged. It's
not unhinged amount of scry. You check 2, you probably get 2 of them off because
it just turns a 4 into a 6 basically.
Yeah, and there's not enough, like the way that it works is, even if you have all of them in your hand, like you need even if you want to triple this Himmel, you'd have to overplay one of your Fearins to like do it again, and that's like a 7-card play at that point. I think the Himmel just heals.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like difficult to set all this up.
Yeah, you need a massive hand, and it has to be sculpted correctly. And so, like, realistically, you're gonna get one of these things, maybe two.
Nah, two. The statue bonds to the finisher.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna get a couple of these things, right? Which, not for nothing, but I'll go ahead and say it. If you leave an Icy Tail with nothing else, like it's just Icy Tail with nothing, it sucks. It sucks. It's not good enough to win. It's not good enough to win. Like, Icy Tail is only a winning strategy if you cheat. Like, you need to be able to cheat the mechanic in some way. It can't just be mill 4 and deal some damage, because if that were true, even like the Aaron style ones aren't that good, because it does burn for zeros, which means it's going to burn more often. But like, you have random reach. You can't know when you should go for it, because it's all just RNGesus at that point. And so you have no reliable packets. You have highly unreliable packets. You might have an idea that they're reliable. You might be able to like get to a average that you think will happen. But by God, if you play this game long enough, you will learn real quick that the game does not give a shit what you think the mathematics of your finisher are. It will randomly troll you and you will get nothing. Or you will randomly troll your opponent and it'll be like 4 climaxes in, hit all 4, lose the whole game. Yeah. And that's just the nature of Icy Tail.
Yeah. But to get back onto the point, because we did tangent a little bit.
Yeah.
But most of the sets have just been pretty all right. You know, there's not been, and I got a little bit of a tussle with somebody on it, but it's like there's not been a set that came out and there's a mechanic in it that was like warp the entire meta around this thing.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Because Alice did that. It was
For sure.
like, when Alice existed, you had to contend with the fact that there were like 11/12Ks on the board, level 1, probably you're sitting at 1-0.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the thing, is that there's a fundamental difference between mechanics we don't like, where it's like Kishibe. Kishibe is a mechanic that most players do not like.
Sure.
Because he's annoying in many ways.
He is.
But it's not so bad that we have to stop and be like, okay, I have to change everything about my deck because this guy is here now. Yeah,
because if you have kind of a reasonable deck, you can either bomb it at 1 for pretty great joy. He has no backup, so once you hit level 2 and you have like early play heals or other bigger guys, like
you just beat over him for free.
We just beat a 10K.
Or eventually the Chainsaw Man player will remove him for you
because he needs to play events. Yeah.
So it's just annoying. But there's a difference between being annoying and creating a game state that has no discernible way out. Where it's like, my problem with Aki is, and why the ban list needs to come for Aki, is because it is unclear how to win against Aki. And it is my opinion that it is very, very difficult to craft a game state where you can survive Aki without just getting very lucky. Because
if your deck has defensive counters, you'll get bounced.
Right.
If you're compressed, you're dead.
And if you're not compressed, you might be dead anyway. Like, that's the thing, is that it's not clear how to win against it. When there's no... This is the same problem that Kurumi created when Dal first came out. When there is no deck state you can put your deck in that will be good against their finisher, then that finisher is fundamentally not balanced. Because the game and the skill expression of the game is creating a deck state that is conducive to victory and creating a resource state that is conducive to victory. There is no game state that is conducive to victory against Aki, assuming the Chainsaw Man player had a normal game. Like, not even good, just normal. Because the deck doesn't have a lot of setup. It basically pops off with 4 events and 1 dude and a bar. And everything else feels pretty optional. And so it's like, okay, is that a reasonable thing to allow to exist in the game? No. It's not reasonable. And in a lot of ways, Aki is worse than some of the other stuff that got restricted in Japan, like Gura or Lions. Yeah. Because there's no setup at all, and there's no clunk. With Gura, there's clunk. With Overlord, there's extreme clunk. And like, when it fails spectacularly. Like, you lose the whole game. But Aki can't really fail.
And also with Overlord, you like, I mean, there's like a lot of skill to pilot that deck.
For sure.
It's a weird deck.
And the thing is that if your opponent has hexproof, they negate a lot of what you want to do. And for a long time,
that's kind of why there's like the slime, like Iron's like
tension.
Yeah.
And so I would argue that like the existence of decks that disrupt field-based decks like Ainz need to exist in the game. Do they need to exist in the exact state that Ainz is in? That's up for some debate. Ainz did really well in Japan and really did not do very well here in the States. And the reason why is for some speculation. But the core point is you need to have a mechanism to manage cards that create game states where it is unclear how to win. And people may not like ban lists because they rip cards out of your hands, cards you paid money for. That doesn't feel very good. And there's no mechanism for really getting it back. So, if you max rarity a deck and then it gets ripped out of your hands, that doesn't feel too good.
At least IMA was only like an SR.
Right, exactly. But Bushiroad needs to have that tool available to them. They need to have the ability to say, this is not healthy because it creates game states that are not healthy. And while people can argue that Aki is beatable, and it is, it's not that it's not beatable. That's not the problem. The problem is that when you win, you aren't sure why. And when you lose, you're not sure why.
Yeah, dude.
You just lost because things happened during Aki and you died.
Like at Houston Springfest, I'm pretty sure we brought this up, but there was a game state that there are two Aki endgames that we witnessed that are like, yep, that's Aki, where somebody killed with double Aki from the opponent's like 2-0, like 2-2-2-0 or something. And they got like mill all the climaxes, trigger double stock soul, you're dead. And then you fucking lived triple Aki from 3-2.
Yeah. It's like, and he had triple scry.
Did you have like a regular deck?
Yep.
Okay.
Like regular human deck.
Like 5-6 climaxes in it?
7 and 30.
Wow. 7 and 30.
And it was just like whiff, burn 1. Whiff,
Cancels.
burn 1, cancel.
Yeah.
No, I took all the burn 1s and blocked all the hits.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just that 3-5, and I'm like, okay.
All right.
Now I win.
Yeah.
Why? Who knows why? But that's the thing, is that it's demoralizing for the player base to deal with, and it's semi-demoralizing for the player who's playing it when it goes the other way. But Bushiroad needs to be able to experiment with mechanics, but they also need a mechanism to rein it in when it goes too far. The way I can tell somebody has not been playing Weiss for very long, or for as long as it's been, is there was a number of years that the game existed in English prior to the ban list, right? For those of us who are old as fuck, 6 years is how long. And there were a number of times in the game where it wasn't that there weren't other good decks. It was just that one deck was so overpowering that winning against it just became a matter of like RNG, where it was like you won because they bricked off, not because you did anything to like really deserve that win. And so there was a huge amount of the community that was outcrying for years for Banlist. And there's a reason. It's because it is not fun to continue to try and play in a situation where it is unclear how you can win. Because the counterplay, for lack of a better term, does not exist. They have cards that won't let you. Or there is no real counterplay because the way that the deck is piloted and the way it performs doesn't involve you.
And not for nothing, but it's been long enough that many of the older sets have kind of like fallen out of existence by virtue of the power creep that's inherent to the game anyway.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Weiss is that kind of game. We want to play the set that we have. That's our favorite.
For sure.
And so if you rock up with a deck that says you can do nothing and there is nothing you can do, but you might win anyway, but fuck all, who knows? That's pretty bad.
Yeah,
It's
and
a pretty bad feeling.
I think that decks should exist in the meta. I think decks do exist in the meta longer than people think. People have a short memory about how good cards are. STS has been out for a while. Still topping.
Yep.
People just built better decks. Like they took the idea and adapted it. But I'm here to tell you that if STS was unbanned and Slime was banned, the rage and outcry would just be unreal from people who died from like 2-3 because triple Escanor. Like, people's memory is very short. That shit is not fun. But at the very least, there's a window now where you can counterplay Escanor, right? The thing that made Escanor unfun before, it wasn't that there was no counterplay, there was. But much like the counterplay for Aki, they had a guy that was like, oh yeah, all the things that make my finisher bad, yeah, I cover all of those. All of them. I will not let you play your counterplay, and I will also make sure that my thing does the worst thing imaginable to you. And it's clear to me that Aki has the exact same play pattern, where it's like a whole bunch of ones that you can't block, and a guy that's like, well, you might have had a way into this game, but I'm gonna make sure you don't.
Turns out double bounce is pretty good at removing counterplay.
And that should not be a thing. That should not be a thing. If Bushiroad could just take note of that. If you're gonna have something that's really dynamic and oppressive and powerful, that's fine. But if it's on reverse or on attack, we might be able to actually do something if you leave a window to do it. If you create double bounce, oh, and by the way, on alarm downgrade, like, how are we supposed to use the counterplay? Because you can open up interesting holes in the meta. Like, not for nothing, but if there's a thing that is extremely good but has restrictions, that opens up a window for counterplay to be valuable. Right now, no one is playing any counterplay in their deck at all. There's a deck that's choking it all out. It's the only deck running counterplay. Every other deck is like, fuck it, we can't do anything because that deck. And so now there's two of those, where it's like, those decks, which are peak meta, will not let us do anything during the counterstep. So fuck it, we're not going to run any counterstep cards. Or any cards that do anything during your opponent's turn, because they won't get to do it. They'll just get removed. And so it's like,
honestly, like, Guilty Gear getting the Ramlethal Soul down into Aki is probably one of the only ones that there is.
Yeah. Because it doesn't require, you don't have to have a guy there.
You have to have a guy.
Yeah.
No.
And so it's one of those things where if we want the meta to be interesting, if we want to have that triangle of the meta where it's like these field-based decks do good, but these damage-based decks do good, but these defensive-based decks do good, it's just the matchups, then we need to actually have decks that are allowed to do all of those things. Right now, the meta is pointed in one sharp, spiky direction, which is deal the most damage possible and fuck everything else. We don't need board, we don't need hand, we don't need anything. What we need is for you to be dead. And so we're just gonna YOLO swag 420, send all the damage straight down your throat. And if you die, then good. And if you don't die, then I guess I'm dead. But either way, the game is fast, and if you're not of the same mindset as me, or if your deck's not pointed in the same direction as me, I can just outrace you.
Yep.
And so Gura kind of started it, but now the whole meta's pointed that way. It's tough.
Yeah. A2 Soul Azure Lane was 7 and 9 at Mexico City.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
No, for sure. So if you want to read more, Zabuton had an excellent thread that is highly difficult to navigate because Twitter fucking sucks. And honestly, I just wish he wrote a blog post. But it was a highly good thread about like how Aki and other meta decks interact with each other in the meta. And I highly recommend that you read it. And I'm also starting a blog because I like writing, as it turns out. And I also have this Russell app sitting over here that can be a website that I can put blogs on.
Nice.
So
are you starting a Refresh Point blog?
I mean,
Is that what I heard?
yeah,
Nice. I'm learning about this live.
we're gonna write.
We're gonna write, and
It's
by
gonna be
we
sick.
I mean both of us.
Yeah.
We're gonna put our thoughts in a more long form, where it's not as sexy sounding.
Yeah.
That's the only problem.
Right.
But the info will be just as good.
Yeah. I mean, this basically manifested like yesterday. I was like, I do want to write.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what the URL is going to be yet, but we'll have it up.
You'll know. You'll know when we know.
You'll know when we know. We'll tweet about it, whatever. We'll put it. What? Maybe am I allowed to do community posts on YouTube? Is that a thing?
I think you can do anything you want.
Well, I appreciate that, but I'm not sure if YouTube is gonna let me do anything I want. So
we'll let you know
we'll let you know
once we know.
once we know. But I'm currently working on a blog post, kind of to cap off this episode, about that very thing, the mid game, level 2.
Yeah.
And just exploring like the mindset of how you or any deck should approach level 2, which is arguably the deciding point of the game for many games now.
For sure.
Because if you fuck up your level 2 and you like send your opponent to 3, you have 3 climaxes and 30 cards, you're fucking dead.
I think the idea that I most want to get out in a long form written way is, and I've thought about it a lot, is most Weiss players are not as lucky as we are in the sense that they do not have the large, healthy, supportive, competitively minded community that is pushing them to make the best plays possible and to play as good as they can. To that end, I would like to offer that a little sneak peek that the first thing I will write on this blog is an article about how you lost, so that I can explain why you lost. Because a lot of players think, especially when they're inexperienced, that the reason they lost was because of luck. And I am here to tell you that in 2024, the reason you lost is because of you, and you made the wrong plays. So we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about examples of what it looks like when you lose and why you got to the state that you got in. So I hope everybody's looking forward to that. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah. So look forward to it. The Refresh Point blog coming to a Vercel app near you, because I don't want to buy another domain. I already have one for my personal website. Renewal's like $30 a year. I'm lazy as piss. But I don't know. Maybe we'll get a domain for it that's like real, and then we'll tell you about it, and it'll be sick. Because as much as I like talking, as a former student journalist, I like writing a lot. and so does Steve. So
I've always wanted someone half my age to tell me I'm shit at writing. So luckily, I've got the right setup.
Whoa. Hold up now. I never said any of that shit. Whoa. Putting words in my mouth over here. But that's gonna be all for today. If you want to, we'll link like the Brown and Weiss tweet, so you can go read either my quote tweet thread or Zabuton's excellent thread, or any of the other responses, including Steve's. And shout outs to Zabuton. I wish you wrote on your blog more often, but I understand why you wouldn't. Because it was funny, because I was reading his blog and then I saw the Brown and Weiss tweet and his responses, and I was like, man, I wish this was just his blog.
The scene needs more. The scene needs more competitive content for sure, and so we're gonna do our best to deliver our end.
We'll do our level best. But that's all for today. So tune in next time after your next deck out, and don't you forget to take the refresh point.